All right. So what I'm going to present today is to continue my last presentation. Last presentation, I proposed to use online mini video to give the students some basics about how to use data, which is a software that I'm going to use in my lecture. Basically, again, this presentation is going to focus the same course I'm going to offer in this coming summer, which is Introduction to Econometrics. And the goal of this course is to learn the econometric models as well as to use the data software to apply those models. And well, similarly, the problem that I have in mind from my previous experience is that usually the student might easily get stuck from different point of time, and then sometimes they might ask a lot of similarly questions. So I find that it's very time inefficient to answer the same question, say, 10 times and at different time. Sometimes it happens in office hours, sometimes it happens before the class or after the class, or even through the emails. And because this is a technical course involving a lot of mathematical derivation, so basically it's really not that convenient for me to repeatedly to answer those through emails. So those kind of problems make me to think about that hybrid delivery will help a lot through either online mini videos or by generating some other online vehicle to help the students to motivate themselves from the first time and then from the beginning, as well as help each other and save the time for each one of us, not only the students but also the professors. So what I'm going to propose today is to use the online discussion board. The online discussion board will be organized by different common areas for the questions. So probably I will start with some sample questions, or like how to open data and what command you are going to use if you want to input a Excel data file. Some kind of questions that may pop up. And then the students will come in, they will talk with each other, they will contribute by answering questions, and they may ask questions through that online discussion board. And one thing that I'm still thinking is that I will make it clear from the beginning, telling the students that you need to do that. You need to go to the discussion board to help each other such that you will get rewarded by the end of the semester. I can give them extra points, or I can just design by, say, 5% of your final grade is going to be determined by how much you contributed to the discussion board. So basically, I create a sample board on my own class web. So like I can show you very quickly. It's not here, it's right down. Okay. So communications, discussion boards. So quickly you can see that I divide those common questions by different areas. So one of them is problem sets discussions. The problem sets I'm going to give them is going to be very challenging. Usually students have tons of questions to ask. Without this discussion board, they are going to ask me, or they are going to ask around maybe similar questions. Basically, if they open this, they can see problem set 1, and then specifically at there, they can quickly find out whether someone asked a similar question. If not, they are going to pop up that question quickly. And then they don't need to wait until the professor to respond. Some of the students, especially the smart one, are going to be able to put their answers. Well, the students, each one of them has the opportunity to contribute by helping the others. So finally, everybody is beneficial by this kind of delivery methods. So that's one thing. And one of my students gave me the feedback. Let me give you this view slideshow. Okay, for the feedbacks of this, that one of the students said that overall she thought it's very it's a very good idea. And then she thinks that it's often easier for them to learn from peers instead of asking the professor to wait for the response. And some of them telling me that they feel awkward or they feel embarrassed to ask the professor questions. So they feel more comfortable to ask themselves. But I do believe that even though the discussion board's main player are the students, but I will monitor them periodically and to make sure that those answers are correct. Because sometimes, even though the answer it might be wrong and nobody give a correct answer, so I may correct them periodically to make sure it is still under the correct framework. And so from the peer, basically my colleagues, they seldomly use discussion board, but for those people who are thinking about discussion board, they told me that we definitely should add motivation for the students to participate. Otherwise, if you don't give them some reward, they won't take it seriously. So it might not be very efficient. So I take that feedback and then I put it in my syllabus. I'm going to let the student know that if by the end of the semester, the student can show me that they've already give constructive contribution to the discussion board by showing me which exactly question you answer in what way. For example, some people may ask, is that correct that if I want to do this, I use this, is that correct? And then some people say, maybe, I'm not sure. That's not a constructive contribution. So basically, they should show me, prove me that what they did by the end of the semester such that they can, earn the reward. And then follow up of the last presentation, because last presentation, I got a lot of helpful comments about the mini online videos. So this time, I give a follow-up of the last time presentation. So the basic concern or the recommendation is that people may say, how are we going to be able to keep track of the students' performance of those kind of online video, especially we are not present when they watch those videos or when they learn. So basically, people may ask, have they watched those videos at all? Or if yes, how much attention do they pay to those lectures, or how well do they learn through those mini videos? If no, then what way could we try to prevent this kind of thing happening? So one of the solutions that I'm thinking is to use the mini quizzes. So the example that I use here, I also create some sample quizzes, which is here. So I created 2 quizzes. The first quizzes are the quiz that I plan to use to let the students to do after they read the syllabus. Make sure they understand each element of the syllabus such that they can, be okay throughout the semester, because this course is going to be very challenging to most of the undergraduate students. And the second quiz I created is the quiz that they need to finish by the end of the first week, which actually basically is a statistical review. And then to generate those quiz, I can, slideshow. I can easily follow or to get the information that I ask myself from the beginning by checking their answers, by checking their grades of those quizzes. And they have to take the quizzes such that they can move on. And I will require them to do that. And then if I didn't have the record of their grades back to my blackboards, they are going to have trouble. So the feedback from my peer is that basically colleagues think that it's an efficient way to monitor students' performance for a hybrid course. But they also give me a caution saying, like, to design those kind of quizzes, you need to make sure that the student workload is right. And the questions not be too hard, and well, be challenging, but not to make them, scared. So encouraging, meaning that the question will encourage them to move on. And the students' feedback is also I think it's very useful, because they think that this is a good way to push them work hard. And also, the student told me, some of them told me that they have the tendency to wait until the last minute to do the homework or to watch the online video. But if I give them the deadline to finish the quiz, to be able to finish the answer to the quiz question, they have to watch the video. So that's a way that to make sure they finish everything on time. And we keep track of that. And then So, but they do say that this means that they need more work because they need time to do the quizzes, which usually they might not need to do based on the face-to-face. Yeah.
Can you go back to your quiz?
Quiz. Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
what's interesting to me is that the only way they can answer the quiz is the content is only delivered by video, correct? For quiz 2, they can't get the answers to quiz 2 without watching the video.
Right, that's the key point. So,
I would go one more step, that, is this
Okay.
done at the beginning of the course?
the quiz?
No, I mean, all of these, the tutorials. Because, when we talked last time, you said there was a problem where you're getting, requests all the time to answer questions. I don't know if you would consider doing this, but if you would set it up so that they can't turn in any other homework until they have completed those quizzes.
I don't know how to do it, actually.
We do.
Well, yeah, we can
okay.
work that out.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
through something called adaptive release.
Mm-hmm.
What that will do is that now it's not just a deadline
Yeah,
that drives or encourages them to do the quiz.
yeah.
They literally can't proceed in the course without following the
That's a
steps
good way.
that you want.
Yeah.
Oh,
I should
thought you
use
were doing
that.
already.
The what?
I thought that's what you were doing. You're not doing
Yeah,
it?
I should have to do that, but I don't
No,
know how
she's
to do
not.
it.
So-
No, she
so
was
they-
trying to do it manually, like.
What she was
manually.
trying to do is the issue of motivation
Yeah.
Yeah.
was by saying, first of all, I think you're doing a lot to allow students to learn on their own.
Right.
You're making these videos, you're doing the quizzes,
Mhm.
you're encouraging them to use a discussion board.
Right.
If we could spend a little bit of time with Bing on the adaptive release rules, what
Mhm.
we can literally set up is, if you will put in your grade book,
Mm-hmm.
even before the course is done, a column or something for all of your assignments that are going to be coming
Mm-hmm.
in the course, you can set up a rule so that the assignments that come after this,
Yeah.
they can't even see it, let alone turn anything in until they have taken the quiz.
Yeah.
And you can set it up to say they have to get a certain points on the quiz.
Okay.
Or you can just say that they've attempted the quiz.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it any way you want, but what that means then is that the issue of motivation
Yeah.
and also organizing one's time, which
Right.
students always have a problem with.
Right.
If
Yeah.
you tell them in advance they can't do anything else
Mm.
in the course until they've completed this quiz,
Right.
what they start to do is then go backward and say, all right, I gotta take this quiz. Oh, it's based on a video. Oh, I gotta watch the video.
That's
You
true.
just keep going back.
Watching the video will be a trigger. Like you could say, you gotta watch the video. How to, there's something associated with
Because
watching the
under
video to
the-
turn the quiz on?
Under
No,
the quiz,
what
it
you
says
say is that in order to turn in any work for credit in this course, you have to go through this tutorial first. And the tutorial is the video. And the way I know you've watched the video is that you can't answer the quiz questions without watching the video. And then you say that, so if there is a problem set that comes up after this quiz, they literally can't even access the point to turn it in, because the adaptive release rule will say only people who have attempted the quiz or gotten a certain score on the quiz can see the next assignment.
So let me ask you this, because this is
Yeah.
something I want to do in the fall. When I give a lecture, I'm going to be, my course is going to go hybrid in the fall, in a regular semester. And I'm going to have one lecture a week online, and I'm going to give them like 5 to 10 minute snippets of a lecture, and then I want them to take a quiz. Is there a way for me to force them to watch that lecture, let me get this right, before that, they have to finish watching that before the quiz appears?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Is it finished, or is it open?
I don't know if you can do
It opens it, it opens it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do it with content, but you can do it with the quiz. I have to look into that.
Even
You
Camtasia
might be able
has
to use
got quiz.
the performance dashboard.
But
to
I,
be able to
but I
do
think,
it,
but I
we'll-
think
we
what
can
Bing
take a
is
look.
doing, what I think that Bing is doing that is interesting is that the only way you complete that quiz too is by
Is watch
getting
the
the
video.
information that is
Yeah.
only available on the video.
Right.
Yeah,
I
that's
think that's the
the
key
key.
point.
You know,
So-
if you say you have to do the quiz after the lecture, just make sure that the quiz can only be completed by the information that's only available in the recorded lecture.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Because, and Because what you've had in the past, this is why it's a nice
I
one-two
see,
punch.
yeah.
It's a nice one-two punch, because in the past, what we've said, you can always track whether or not students have opened the video.
Right.
What you can't track is what do they understand in the
Right.
video, and what are they doing
Right.
with it?
That's
Well, if you
right.
say, here's content or a concept, here's an application, a quiz,
Right.
you put the two together,
Yeah.
it runs itself.
Right.
Can I go one more step about adaptive release? Because that came up last time, and there's one thing that's been bothering me a little bit. In the traditional setting, the kids get a syllabus, and they know what to do when, and they have a pretty good idea of how much work there is to do. Unless you've designed every chapter exactly the same way, with adaptive release, they don't know what else they have to do.
You gotta be consistent.
And that's the point I was gonna say here, is it being, all of this is in the course design.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all set up in the course design.
From the
And you
beginning.
have the advantage now of setting up the course. Don't miss the opportunity, though, to communicate what you have designed,
Mhm.
because it's gonna go counter to what students expect.
Right.
Students expect, I'll learn what I have to do when I come to class. Well, they're gonna be coming to class less. So they need to know
That's
in
the key.
advance what
Right.
is gonna be required. So when you have the syllabus, it's not just the deadline, and it's not
Right.
just the assignment, it's what's the prereq
Yeah.
that they have to do to complete the next assignment. And I think as long as you tell them that, you know, and maybe give them a taste of it to
Okay.
start with.
Yeah, actually, I also have a very practical questions to make sure that the syllabus don't look too complicated. You know, the students look at the syllabus from the first lecture. They're going to read that briefly to see how their grades is going to be evaluated, and also where is the computer lab and what time, what date. Also, they are going to see, okay, this is a hybrid course, and there is online mini lecture, and there is online quizzes, and then there is a lot of, you know, kind of thing. I think those are pretty new to most of the students.
Well, yeah.
So I don't want them to be facing an extremely complicated institution. I mean,
Well, see, here's the challenge. You're teaching in a compressed semester.
Right.
You have to be proactive and get them doing something right away.
right,
Because if you just wait, you know, a day is like a week in the summer,
right.
same with winter.
That's true.
So you've got to get them active in doing, whether it's a syllabus quiz, an academic integrity quiz, or whatever, but you've got to be proactive and counter what is the norm.
Right.
Because they're going to expect that I can just take this class like I take any other class. And we've already talked in the workshop, in a hybrid course, their responsibility has to step up.
Mhm.
Now, if you do the course design the way you're doing it, you're setting it up and you're building in increased student responsibility.
Right.
You just, what you may have to do in the teaching
Mhm.
is motivating them and reminding them with
Right.
announcements that,
Yeah.
you know, I can't do this for you, you have to do the next step. You will have to be proactive, or it'll get away from you.
Right.
Because not all the students are gonna be self-regulated.
Exactly.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
you're gonna have to motivate
back to
those
what you
those
said.
students who wouldn't normally take on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually considering adding a single document that is like a site map. That is in effect, here's chapter 1, and these are the things in sequence that you have to do. But they won't be able to see the actual activity until they've done the preceding one. But they can see what it is they're gonna have to do.
And then when you add an evaluation level on that to qualify to move on to the next stage, you know that they have that information.
Should I log out? or-
That's basic information that they're gonna need, they understand it to
Okay,
the
log it
degree, and that's really good.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Alrighty,
Right.
alrighty.
Good
Thank
job,
you.
Ming.
Thank you.
Can I ask you,
Anita, you wanna go next?
Yes.
Okay.
can I ask you a couple of questions? The quizzes you're gonna give them, how many attempts do you permit them? One or multiple?
I probably give them 3 times.
3 times.
Maximum.
Are they timed or untimed?
Timed. Timed. It has to
Okay.
be by the end of the first week or?
No. When they start the quiz,
No.
they can take as long as they want.
Yeah.
So they can call their grandmother and get the answer if they want. Okay.
That's what I think.
know, the point is,
I don't think they're going to
the
ask
point is that they're not calling Bing
Right.
to get
Well, I
the answer.
understand.
That's the
I
whole point.
understand.
That's the whole point.
They won't ask it.
What's that?
Econ 417.
Well, you can, go ahead and sign on there.